Welcome to the Park Avenue Podcast. Episode number 8. We are here with Neale Chamberlain.
Hello.
Neale, say your name.
Neale Chamberlain.
And we're here with Tyler Mays. Tyler, say your name. Tyler Mays. Thank you for listening again.
Yes, we're bringing the funk back to you once again.
An unexpected podcast. Neale text messaged me today and said, let's do a podcast. And I said, okay. So now we're here. I was just telling Neale about, how did we get on the subject of me being in court? We were just talking about court, going to court, and how it's a total crapshoot with
judges,
the judges you get, and the circumstances, and how lightly you get off.
What might happen to you?
Yep, or how heavily you'll be punished. So I was telling Neale about when I was hit by a car on my bike. I think I was living in Oregon Hill. So I was 19 or 20 when it happened. And I remember Johnny had been over at my apartment that night. And I had gotten high right before I had left. And I was going over to the Grove Avenue apartment.
Not a good idea.
Where you guys lived on Grove. I think you were living there at the time. But you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So I was on my way to Grove. And I'm coming down...
Didn't have your light on, did you?
I didn't have any lights on my bike because they had burned out a few weeks before and I had just taken them off.
You're entering the danger zone.
No, I think I still had them on my bike actually. So I'm coming down Floyd really fast, right by, and I'm approaching that hospital by Floyd and Robinson.
Retreat.
Yes, Retreat Hospital. So I'm approaching that hospital and the light. It's right at Floyd and Robinson, I guess, is the intersection I'm coming up on. The light turns yellow, so I decide that I'm going to fucking book it and try to make it through this light, before it turns red. Or at least before cars start moving.
As any human would.
And the woman... Yes, as any human would, including the woman coming the opposite direction that saw a yellow light, wanted to turn. She's old. She's probably in her mid-60s. And I already can't see very well at night when I'm fucking driving. I'm only 25 and I feel like I'm bad at it already.
Yeah,
which is
I
ridiculous.
am too, especially when it rains.
I'm like, is that a turn though? Is that the median? I'm getting pretty bad at it already, but I had to burp. Excusez-moi. But, what was I saying?
That she was turning.
Oh, so as I try to make it through the light...
You.
She tries to take, she's coming the opposite direction, and she tries to take a left onto Robinson. And basically, I come out of the shadows, which I realized later, when I looked back, when I got up off the ground and looked back to where I had just come from, I was like, man, I totally just appeared out of the shadows, and this woman... It would be like it's like when a deer runs out and hits your car. That's basically what I was to this poor woman. She fucking freaked out. But this is how, that's how it happened. She started to take the left, and I came out of nowhere trying to make it through the yellow. And I remember it slowed down. Like, that shit really fucking happens. Like, when something terrible is about to happen, like, your perception slows down.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh,
you get superpowers because you get time to avoid it.
And I'm like, oh, fuck. And then I'm like, bam! I hit her car. She's, turning, so I hit her, I guess it would be the right front of her car. Mm-hmm. I flip over my handlebars. I land on my back on her windshield, and I smash it. And I, you know how a windshield will, completely smash but not, break apart?
Yeah.
It'll be all compressed in and broken. I bounced off. I hit her windshield and compressed it in, and then bounced off. Her windshield was completely shattered. I bounced off, landed on my feet on the other side of the car, stood there for a second, started to say, holy shit, and halfway through that, I just collapsed. I went, holy, and then just fucking fell down. Kind of in shock for a second. I couldn't believe I landed on my fucking feet. It was like, smash the windshield, and I'm on my feet. I go, holy shit, and I just fucking... Video. Oh god. A bunch of people saw it because they're outside of whatever bar that used to be. Yeah. I don't know if it's still, I think it closed down and something new got put in there. But basically the next few seconds, I land on my feet, then I collapse. And then I stand up as the woman's getting out of her car, and she's like near, she's almost crying, or maybe she was crying. She's like, I didn't see you. And I was like, it's not your fault. I don't have lights on my bike. I shouldn't have done that. And she was like, oh my God, I shouldn't have tried to go through the light. And I'm like, it's really not your fault. And she's like, are you okay? And I was like, I think so. Yeah. I'm looking around on myself. And I look down and my knee is cut. And I'm like, okay, that's not a big deal. And I can see that there's like a little rock in it. And then I look down at my hand and there's a rock embedded in my palm.
Yeah.
There's a scar right there. I'm showing Neale.
Ew.
But no one listening can see. It's about...
I give it it's not bad.
It's 3/4 of an inch long. You can't, it's...
Yeah, I was nice to the lady when I got T-boned and like she smashed my car and it took me a minute to get like...
Yeah.
Compose myself. But I was friendly with her just because I was happy. I was on a restricted license. And I don't really know if I even had a valid license at the time. But I have a license that still, hasn't expired. And, the cop didn't question me on the R or anything that's on my license. So sweet. I was like...
All right.
Yay.
The woman that hit me in the Walgreens parking lot, I was really fucking nice to her, and she was apologizing, and I was like, things happen, it's no big deal. Insurance will cover it, I'm sure. And then, I forget who was with me. It was either Rob or Nicole. I don't know why those are the two I can narrow it down to. Yeah. But... they could, like, when I got back in the car, they were like, I could hear them talking about, like, I could hear her boyfriend saying that you were at fault. And I was like, what the fuck? Because this is what happened. I pulled into the Walgreens parking lot, and I'm about to take a left into one of the rows to park, and there's this big black SUV coming down the middle of the row. It's, like, in the middle of the, the lane, and it's just moving probably 10 miles an hour. And I look at it, and I'm kind of shocked for a second because it doesn't look like anyone is driving the fucking thing. So I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And as it's coming towards me, I start to drive forward to try to get out of its way. And as I do that, the woman picks her head up. She had been looking down on the floor for cigarettes and said she didn't know her car was moving. And when she came up, she saw that she had been moving, and she tried to slam on the brakes, instead hit the gas and hit my car.
Oh, God.
Hit my driver's side.
So how... And the guy tried to say that you were at fault?
Her boyfriend, who was in his car across the parking lot, said that I pulled in front of her.
When she said that, though.
And she's sitting there apologizing profusely, and she's like, I was looking on the ground for cigarettes. And, and then her douchebag fucking boyfriend supposedly is over there whispering to her. And then I'm like... you probably, whoever said, told me that, I was like, you probably misheard. I'm sure, she was totally taking blame for it. I give people too much credit sometimes. And then I get a call probably 2 or 3 weeks later from my insurance company. And they're like, we just needed to ask you about a discrepancy in the stories about... the incident that happened in blah, 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 January 18th or whenever the fuck it was. And they were like, Mrs. Wellington, or whatever the fuck her name was. She was probably mid-20s, and her boyfriend was, they're yuppie fucking douchebags, basically. And she was like, her story, we have on record you saying that it was in a Walgreens parking lot and that she hit your driver's side door when she was not paying attention, not looking up while she was driving. Is that your story? And I was like, yeah. What's her story? You go, she's told us and her insurance company that you were coming off the highway onto, what's that road there? I guess it's Thompson. That you were coming off the highway onto Thompson near the Walgreens, and that you hit her car as she was waiting to take a turn. And I said, are you kidding me?
There's no highway even that goes... Well, I mean, I know it's near Thompson, but it doesn't get off onto Thompson.
I think it does, yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, it does.
Yeah.
But
so that's what she said, that, like, she put it, like, 2 blocks away.
Yeah, but
some reason.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. And fucking... And I was like, are you kidding me? And they go, that's the story we have. And I go, that's not at all what happened. I I know for a fact that there were EMTs in the parking lot in their ambulance that witnessed the entire thing. A police officer was called to the scene and said that nothing could be done because it was on private property. It was on, Walgreens property. So I have his name, so we can contact him, and he can verify the story. I have pictures of him, and they're like, okay, sir,
we get it.
Yeah, basically, they're like, okay. Well, we will contact her insurance company. I was like, what are you fucking retarded?
What an asshole.
You're gonna fucking, first off, put it 2 blocks away, completely lie about it. Like, that's such a strange thing to do.
Yeah.
If you're gonna lie about it, at least say, like, I was driving out and he,
or at least keep it in the same area.
Yeah, you fucking weirdo.
What an asshole.
But anyway, going back to me getting hit on my bike. So I'm walking around after I get hit. I stand up after a few seconds. I see the rock in my hand, and I'm like, I don't know if I should take that out. So I just start walking around, and I'm bleeding, and then I take the rock out of my hand, and I start bleeding more, and I'm like, So then I'm like, oh fuck, you have weed and wine in your backpack. The wine somehow didn't. I guess my backpack was flying around when I smashed the windshield, so it didn't break. I was convinced my backpack. I was only 19 or 20, so I was like, I'm fucked if the police come and I've got a backpack full of fucking wine, like broken wine bottle. Yeah. But I was like, I gotta get rid of this weed. So I immediately after I was hit, I was surrounded by girls from the bar, probably 5 to 8.
Are you okay?
I was, oh my god, we saw what happened. Are you okay? And I was like, I think I'm fine. And I was like, I'm just gonna go on. I think I'm fine. I just have, my hands cut. I'm okay. And someone was like, I already called the cops, dude. They're on their way. And I was like, God damn it. So that's when I was like, I'm gonna walk this off for a minute. And everyone was like, okay, we'll be waiting here. Like, people were, like, by this time, like, 20 people were gathered around. Because that's a fucking, spectacle. If you're in a bar and somebody gets hit by a car right outside.
you're drunk.
You're going to walk outside and be like, dude, oh my God, we saw you get hit. And I was like, that dude just got hit by a car. So we came out here, and here you are, man.
You're hit.
Are you okay? So all these people are around me, and so I walk away. And as soon as I'm in the shadows and I'm away from all these people, I just start dumping my weed out of the tissue that I had it all in.
Oh, that sucks. You should have just stashed your backpack somewhere.
I just fucking dumped it out, and then I used the tissue to soak up the blood on my hand. And I walked back over there, and I was like, I'm just gonna take my bike and go on. And people are like, dude, you can't. You gotta wait for the ambulance to come at least. Brah. So the ambulance comes.
Weren't you right near the hospital?
Yep. An ambulance comes from fucking VCU Medical Center.
Oh, God.
Cops come. Fire truck comes. It's like I shut down this whole fucking intersection, basically. And I'm walking around telling the story to an EMT. And he's like, all right, well, what we're going to do is take you in for observation for a bit, check you out. And I go, no, I'm fine. I just hurt my knee and my hand. I can go. And he's like, walk with me for a second. And he walks me over to the woman's car, and he goes, hey, you realize you remember you're not wearing a helmet when you smash this woman's windshield with your body? It's like, you could have a concussion, you could have all sorts of shit. This was like probably he was probably like 22, 23 years old. He was like, I'm fucking taking you to the hospital. That's how he talked to me. So I was like, I trusted this guy more, I guess, because he was like, all right, be straight with me. I need to know if you've been doing any drugs or alcohol tonight. And I was like, I'll be straight with you that I was on my way to drink, but I have not been doing anything else. He probably asked me that like 3 or 4 more times. Yeah. And it was like, do you have any stuff on you, that we got to worry about? Any needles or anything? I was like, no, I don't. There's nothing on me.
I don't shoot drugs, bro.
Yeah, I'm like, this is weird. So they put me in a stretcher. Oh, before they put me into the ambulance and took me off, I'm in a stretcher for a while. And I'm like, this is really unnecessary. Like, I'm saying this the whole time. They're putting the neck brace on me, and I'm like, I'm fine, really. And I'm like, God damn it. They're going to take me. I got to go to the fucking hospital instead of just being able to go to this party or whatever the fuck I was going to do. So, as I'm on the stretcher, more people start coming out of the bar, and I can hear them started coming up and asking the EMT, "What happened, man?" And this awesome guy, that was talking to me on a cool level, he starts making up shit to every person that walks up. He says something different. Somebody walks up, "What happened, bro?" And it was just terrible. And someone's like, and he says, "Well, knife point robbery. He got a few minor cuts. He's gonna be okay. We're taking him to the hospital." And the guy's like, "Oh my god, bro!" And he patted me on the leg and was like, "You're gonna be okay," and walked off. Then 2 minutes later, another guy walks up. I'm probably laying there for 10 minutes as they get stuff ready in the ambulance, and more people are walking up. "What happened?" And almost everyone's drunk that comes up and asks for us, and he's like, "Gunshot wound to the leg. He's gonna be okay. It's just minor." And they're like, "I don't see any blood." And they're like, "Bloodless wound." And they're like, "Oh my god." I'll go to bed. "Good luck, man." And walk off. And I'm sitting there, and he'd because I'm looking straight up with the neck brace on, he would look over top of my face to smile at me and be like, "This is fun." And I'm like, this guy knows how to take a shitty situation. I guess it's a good part of the job to master, is making people in shitty situations feel at ease,
comfortable.
Where I'm sitting there laughing at him being like, "Dog bite, man." He kind of just a different thing for every fucking person that walks up. So the funniest thing about this whole fiasco up to that point is that when I get first I had to explain to that idiot cop. These two cops show up. One of them is a rookie.
The cops questioned you before you went left in the ambulance, right?
Yep. The cops are asking me and everything, and I'm just straight up with them. I'm like, she didn't see me coming out of the shadows and everything. The light on my bike is burned out, so it's not her fault. I'm not going to try to fucking blame this woman, because I totally just was like, "Hey!" Just fucking slammed
I'm on a bike!
Yeah. So... I just slammed into her fucking car, basically, and smashed it. She told me, after I got back up after collapsing, that she never saw me until she got out of the car. All she saw was driving along. She is looking left as she takes a turn, and then her fucking windshield is smashed.
That must have sucked for her.
That must have been fucking awfully scary. That's why she got out of the car with this look on her face, like, "What the fuck?" And she looks at me, and I'm laying on the ground, and I'm like, "Oh my god." She's like, "Oh my god." And I'm like,
"I killed him."
And I'm like, "It's not your fault." Yeah. She was like, "I didn't see you at all. All I saw was just driving along and then smashed windshield." And I was like, "Oh my god, that had to have been crazy." Yeah. So this dumbass cop, turns out that same cop would be one of the ones that pulled me over on Poe White, thinking I had stolen my own car and had their guns pointed at me. And he's the one that said, "Oh, I knew he was probably innocent when he didn't take off running, because most guilty people take off running." And I was like, "Oh my god, asshole. You're a Richmond police officer? You sound like a fucking 3-year-old." So... that's the guy that was questioning me that night, and I recognized him because he's so fucking... He's just so distinctive. And the EMT, the guy that... not the one that was talking to me the whole time, but a female EMT was like, "You see that cop over there?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "He's a fucking idiot." We get to know these guys really well. Most cops are awesome guys, but that guy's a fucking moron. And I was like, "Really? What does he do?" He's like, "Well, one of my friends is his sister-in-law, and he's just the stories I hear. He's just a fucking idiot." And then later, that's totally, through my next interactions with this guy over the stolen car fiasco and this whole thing, I was like, "Yeah, you're right. This guy is a fucking idiot." So they put me in the ambulance, and this was the ironic part, I suppose. I got my worst injuries on the ambulance ride to the fucking VCU.
How'd you manage
They
that?
took these fucking bumpy-ass roads. My legs were hanging off the stretcher that I guess is made for people not 6 feet tall. I guess 5'8" or some shit. So my legs are hanging over, and every bump we hit, my legs come up in the air and then slam back down on this metal bar. I had bruises on the back of my, what would you call the reverse of your shin?
Your calves?
My back shin. Well, it's like my calf muscles are high, so it's. I guess
either way. Shut up.
It's where a cankle would
calves.
be. It's where a lower cankle would be. A back cankle. So I got that's where I got my worst fucking injuries, and I get to the hospital. And I'm laying on the stretcher for probably.
Did they think that came from the accident?
Oh, I don't know. We never really talked about that. I don't think. They put me in the. I'm laying there on the stretcher. They bring me into the ER, and I'm laying there, and I'm like jacked up on this stretcher now. I'm probably like 4 feet in the air, and it's just weird as shit. Like the ceiling seems all close, and I'm kind of freaked out. And I'm laying there for probably 15 minutes. And a doctor will come up and ask me just make sure that I'm okay and everything. And I'm like, I'm fine. Yeah. I could go if you would let me.
Let me go.
So
sign the papers, asshole.
As I'm laying there, that's when one of the people that pokes their head over top of my face is the fucking douchebag cop. And he goes, hey there. And I'm like, hey, what's going on? And he's like, we just had to give you a ticket here for having no light on your bike.
That makes me so mad.
So I'm just gonna. What should I do here? You want me to put it in your hand? And I was like, put it in my pocket, I guess. He's like, all right, I'm gonna fold it up and I'm gonna put it in your right pocket here. I'm like, okay. And I remember I can see his partner's face too as they're both looking at me. And his partner had this look on his face like he's slightly embarrassed. Like, I guess this is police work. I guess this is what I'm supposed to do.
It was a young guy, right?
Yeah, it was a young guy. He's probably like 23, 24, and this other guy's in his mid-30s probably. And I'm laying there and I'm like, I can't believe that just fucking happened. And then this doctor comes up and she asks me, she's like making sure I'm okay, asking me questions and stuff, and I'm like, if you call my parents, just make sure you tell them that I'm alright. And she laughs and says, we don't do that. And then walks off. And I go, yes, you fucking do. I've heard of that sort of shit. You go to the hospital and you're in a stretcher and you ask them to call somebody.
Yeah. It seems like they would.
Yeah. What else? What am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
Am I supposed to make the call?
Just lay here.
So the fact that she laughed at me, I was like, fuck you, bitch. I was like indignant at that. And then this young nurse fellow, I used to remember his name, but I can't anymore. I looked him up on Facebook one time.
That's funny.
I wanted to see if he was on there. And he's finally got me off the stretcher and onto a bed. And then I got to see the goings-on of a Richmond ER on a Saturday night, which was quite interesting, actually. Yeah. There's an old guy beside me laying on this bed.
Wounds?
One guy came in with knife wounds, and they were like...
I'd rather get shot.
As I'm laying there, the guy comes in a stretcher, and they've got, air being pumped into his mouth and stuff. Yeah. It's straight on emergency room shit.
Yeah.
And they put him into this room, this confined room, and they start working on him, and then 2 cops are stationed on the outside of the door, and I can hear them talking on the radios. They're like, and they pull a doctor aside, and they say, what we got here is a suspected gang member. We've got knife wounds. We're staying here stationed. He's not to leave. We got to keep one of his hands cuffed. And the doctor's like, well, we're going to have to keep blah, blah, blah. They're kind of arguing over,
what
how
to
they...
do.
The doctor's like, he's not even conscious right now. We just need to do what we need to do right now. Then you can cuff him in. And they're like, all right, well, we're staying right here. We're keeping an eye on the situation.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there 5 feet away, holy shit.
Must be a badass.
And so I'm sitting there for another hour and a half probably. They got an IV in my arm for some reason. I was like, I don't need fluids, motherfucker. Just seal up my wounds. They gave me this skin glue, derma glue or something Dermaseal, I think is what it was called. And so
fluids are awesome.
They put up my wounds like that, and then they put me on an IV for a while. They kept me there for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then they came back. And during that time period, my blood
They do any
started...
X-rays or anything?
I don't remember really.
Seems like they should if they were going to take you to the
hospital. I
hospital.
think they just checked to see if anything hurt. They had me walk around and do wrist things, little exercises to make sure everything worked, and they checked to make sure I didn't have a concussion. So, they did stuff. They made sure I was all right. It was such a strange fucking experience. I was like, I'm really fine. I'm lucky as shit that I'm fine, but I'm fine.
Yeah.
So, during that whole time when I got the IV in my arm, halfway through, I guess I moved my arm weird or something, and my blood started to run back into the bag.
Ew.
instead of the fluids running into me, my fluids are running in the back.
That's kind of gross.
So I'm sitting there telling one nurse after another what's happening, and no one's doing anything about it. And then finally the dude comes back up, the dude nurse, and I tell him, and he's like, okay, oh crap. I'm like, is this a problem? Because if it is, then like all these other nurses should have done something about it like immediately. So he fixes that up. He's like, I think we can just take you off the IV. Anyway.
They took you to MCV?
Yeah.
Oh, that sucks.
So I'm sitting there.
They could have just taken you to the hospital right
Yeah,
there.
I know. So it's 2:30 in the morning now when I finally get released from the hospital.
Yeah.
And I'm calling Nicole and just calling her one call after another, but her phone had fallen between the bed and the wall.
Oh, God.
So she couldn't hear it when I was going off, so that's not working. So then I call a bunch of other people. I can't get through to anybody. Finally, I call Chris Mays, and he answers, and he's like, yo, dude, what's up? And I'm like, hey, what's going on? And he's like, I'm drunk with Eli at a party in Oregon Hill, and, you know, some shit like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, man, you're drunk? And he's like, yeah, why? What's up? I was like, I just got released out of the hospital, and I can't get in touch with anybody to come pick me up. He goes, dude, I'll be right there. And I was like, not if you're drunk. He's like, I'm not that drunk. I can come pick you up. Yeah. If a friend's in trouble, I'll come pick you up. So he comes in his red Mustang speeding up, and I'm like, God, I hope he's fucking survived this drive back. So finally, you know, like, it's 2:30 when I get released. It's 3:15 when I finally get in Chris's car, and 3:30 when I get home. And I just walk into...
You don't have any weed or anything?
I didn't have any... I had my backpack, but I didn't have anything left. I had my weed back at home.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah, I remember I stayed up watching Seinfeld.
Anytime I'm, like, stuck somewhere for a long time, the first thing I think about is, like, going home and smoking weed.
Yeah. Like, it's going to be great when I finally get to go home and just fucking
Especially
relax.
when I was in jail a couple times.
It's nice.
Only for, like, 24 hours.
Yeah. What was I just going to fucking say? What were we just talking about?
When you get home and watch afterwards, after Chris Mays took you home.
Oh, so Chris Mays takes me home, and the first thing I do when I get home is walk up to me and Nicole's bedroom. I open the door and turn on the light, basically like,
what
hey,
the fuck?
It wasn't really like a mad thing, but like, hey, just gotta tell you the situation, so I'm just gonna wake you up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I feel like I'm about to sneeze. So she's like, what's going on? And I tell her, and she thinks I'm joking because, you know, like I've fucked with her like that sometimes. So then I walked up and I, like, you know, show her like the dermaseal on my hand and everything, and I'm like, you know, the wristband I have on from the hospital. Yeah. And then she starts, you know, she feels awful that she didn't fucking answer the phone. I still haven't lived down with my parents that I didn't call them that night.
Oh, really?
I called them the next day, and they were so fucking mad at me for not calling them. I'm like, if I had called you at 2:30 in the morning and said I got hit by a car and I've been in the hospital for the past 3 hours, you'd freak out and drive down here and make a huge deal.
Yeah.
Instead, I let you sleep because it wasn't a big deal, and I called you in the morning.
Yeah.
And they still give me shit about that. They're like, it doesn't matter what you end up in the hospital in the middle of the night. You should always call us.
Yeah.
I'm like, not if it's nothing.
I know. Yeah.
If it's totally nothing, but like for the next several days, probably for 4 or 5 days after that, I couldn't walk right. It was like, I thought I was totally fine right after it happened, but I'm kind of glad I went to the hospital. Otherwise, I would have had like a Band-Aid on my open hand wound, and like I would have been fucking crippled for the next 5 days, thinking I should really go see a doctor and tell them what happened.
Yeah.
So I'm limping around for the next 5 days, and finally I get back to where like I can walk without pain.
That's
then it
good.
was like it never happened. I used to have a scar on my knee too, but I think it's gone basically.
Cool.
But you can still see the hand one.
Cool.
But yeah, that's what I was telling you about how I got... Oh, so there's more to this. So then I go to court for the ticket for the no light on my bike.
Uh-huh.
And at first the judge is all fucking serious. Like it's this no-nonsense kind of guy. And he is just going by the book. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to get like $100 fine for no light on my bike. And then right before, you know, probably 5 people before I go up there, they switch judges out. And then this, the first guy was Asian. Not that really has anything to do with it. But he's a very serious Asian fellow. And then the next guy comes in, he's this goofy white guy that looks like, I don't know, I can't really explain this, but there's a character on that game, Guess Who? Is it Guess Who with the flipping faces?
Yeah.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
But there's one of those guys. He looks like him. But anyway, he comes in and he's automatically goofy and like jovial. And I'm like, hey, this is like a whole new court experience for me. This guy seems happy and nice. So I get up there and he's like, all right, so looks like you got a ticket here for no light on your bike? Automatically, he's like, why is this even in my courtroom? And then I go, yes, sir. I didn't have a light on my bike when I got the ticket. And he goes, I tell him that my light had burned out. And he goes, well, have you gotten a light on your bike? Like, I'll toss this out if you've gotten a light on your bike. And I said, well, I haven't gotten my bike yet from the gotten my bike back yet from the impound, sir, from the accident. And then he gets this look on his face like, what? And he says, what accident? And he looks over at the cop with this funny look like, what's going on with you? What's the whole story here? So then I'm like, all right, time to fucking work it here. Time to tell this story how it went down and get this judge pissed off at these cops. So I just tell him everything. Well, sir, I was hit by a car and I didn't have a light on my bike, so the car didn't see me. I was taken to the hospital. He stops me there and he's like, you were hit by a car and they gave you a ticket. I go, yes, sir. They followed me. Yes, sir. They followed me to the hospital. Yes, sir. They followed me to the hospital and gave me the ticket while I was on the stretcher. And then he looks at the cop like, are you fucking kidding me? And he goes, all right. He looks back at me and goes, I'm going to dismiss this. Get a light on your bike so it's safer. And I hope that you're okay and that your bike's all right. And then he looks back at the cop and says, please don't issue tickets like this anymore in situations like that and take up time in the courtroom. That was the only serious thing this judge said all day.
It wasn't even the guy who...
Oh, yeah. It was the rookie cop. That poor rookie cop had to be scolded by the fucking judge while the asshole cop was probably out somewhere...
Jacking off.
Yeah, jacking off. I was trying to think of something vulgar to say about him. Yeah, he was out somewhere jacking off. Fucking a bear in the woods like in Super Troopers. So that was pretty awesome. I walked out of there with a big smile on my face. Like, this fucking... like, I felt bad for that rookie cop, but it was really nice for the judge to take my side and be like, don't take up time in my courtroom with this sort of stuff.
As it always is.
Yep. I saw that judge take, like, everyone that went ahead of me got off lightly or got off completely. Because the judge was like, I'll take your word for it.
That's
dismissed. It's like, and if you do that for the first couple of people, then everyone that goes up is going to be like, I say that I'm innocent. It's like, all right, I'll take your word for it.
That would be pretty awesome.
And it's like, some of that stuff is so fucking pointless anyway. Why? Like, if I was a judge and I knew that somebody in front of me was like a working class person, like didn't have a lot of money, and I'm supposed to give them like a $300, $500 fine, I'd be like, I'm going to dismiss this on the grounds that there's no proof that blah, blah, blah. Because, like, come on. Unless it's something like...
Just cut a homie a break,
If it's littering, I'm going to put you
I'm going to throw the book at you.
I'm going to put you away for 6 months.
Putting you under the jail.
Yep. That's what we're going to do if you're a litter bug.
I'm an Indian.
We should make
Native American.
We should make commercials like that where people litter. It would be like a funny ad campaign where someone litters and then somebody comes out and just fucking beats the shit out. No, stabs them to death with a big sword.
That would be cool.
Yep.
Swords
Maybe a ninja could come out of nowhere and cut off their head.
Just throw ninja stars?
The ninja could come out and cut off their head and then pick up their head and throw it into the trash can and then be like, put your shit in the trash can, See, the ninja doesn't even litter even after he kills the dude. That's
very, very nice.
There's layers to this.
He's a nice ninja.
Indeed.
He'll kill you, but he'll throw you away.
So I saw the Jake Gyllenhaal movie,
The Source Code?
Yes.
I still want to see it.
It's good.
Quality filmmaking.
It wasn't as good as I thought it would be, and I think that they could have...
It seems like a pretty difficult premise to execute quality.
Yes,
quality
like it could have been some, like, if it had been slightly different, done with like Nicolas Cage, it could have been so fucking awful. So
it was the guy who did Moon, who directed
Moon. Is such a good fucking movie. That's one of my favorite movies ever. It's It's funny in some parts and just entertaining as shit, but
yeah.
I love the fucking computer.
I still haven't seen it all.
Some of my favorite movie characters are computers.
Yeah.
Like Hal. Yep. Hal is... I love Hal's voice, and like he's one of my favorite lines is in 2001 when Hal and whatever the dude's name is, I can't even remember it now.
Who even cares?
Where they're sitting there talking, and Hal's asking all these questions, and then the guy says something like, "You're writing up your psych reports, aren't you?" And Hal pauses for a second and goes, "Of course," or something like that. And you can tell he's fucking lying, and I'm like, "You're lying, Hal." And it's done so fucking great. And it's like, that's what it's like in Moon with, what's that actor's name that does his voice?
I don't know who does the voice.
Is it Kevin Spacey? Is that the guy?
Oh, yeah, I think it is.
Yeah. I love his voice, so it's cool to see that movie.
Yeah,
like,
he'd be a good computer voice for some kind of evil, like, nice but evil computer kind of thing. I don't
Source Code was cool, but there's one thing I'm really getting sick of in movies. And why does there have to be a love story?
Is this a okay?
In every fucking movie.
Yeah.
Every movie,
isn't that
no
the whole
matter
thing? Is he wants to go back and save her?
Yeah, but that's
but
like,
at first,
can we just get some straight up science fiction every now and again with no love interest, please? Just some fucking space shit. Like, everything's got to have...
Straight up space ninjas?
Everything's got to have a dude going after some girl for some fucking... Why does every story have to have that?
I don't know.
My stories will not have that.
To reel in all the audiences.
There's other interesting stuff that happens in the world.
But you gotta reel in the females.
I guess so. But I only want females that like science fiction to go read my stuff.
I guess.
Once I make it huge, writing every now and again in my room.
Oh, God.
Every 3 weeks for 3 hours.
Anyway.
But it feels great to fucking do that. I wish that I wasn't tired all the time from work and I could just sit around all day and write.
Write all the time.
Because even when you're not really writing well, it's good practice, I guess. And eventually you're going to get into the flow of it.
Practice makes perfect.
And you're going to get inspired by something and you're going to be like, when you get in that fucking mode, it's awesome. When you're creating something and you're doing really well with it. Yeah. And you're just like, it's not even really like... it's so hard to tap into. I always
enjoy doing the beats.
You just like tap into something, and you get to. It just everything falls. It's a big part of that sort of stuff is luck, I think.
Yeah.
Like when I paint, and I'll like have something I fucking hate, and I'll start to paint over it with black, and then I see something like just from a random brushstroke I've done. Something will like pop out at me and I'll be like, what if we did this? And then 2 hours later I've got a completely fucking different painting that I like. Yeah. It's like most of my paintings are like that. And it's just me, I don't even know what I'm going to fucking paint when I start doing it.
That's how any good artist goes.
I have no clue what I'm going to do when I start.
Yeah.
There's nothing in mind
at
all.
That's kind of how I go.
And if I do have something in mind, it's not what's going to end up.
Yeah, it always ends up something different.
Something completely fucking different. I have some paintings.
Nothing wrong with that.
3 or 4 different layers on them of me doing different stuff, putting it up on my wall, then maybe a year later being like, I want to paint, but I don't have any canvases and I don't have any money. And I hate this painting now, so I'm going to paint over it.
That's resourceful.
I've got one that's got... had an ocean scene that then became a space scene that then became this African mask, and it's now, I think that's the one that's the shadow by the power lines on the stormy day. That's what I'll call it.
I don't know if I've seen it.
It's in my room. It's kind of creepy.
You should sell it. Now
Johnny was like, "Is that supposed to be you?" And I was like, "It's like a black silhouette of a dude by power lines. How is that me?" Like, I don't know. It looks like you. And I was like, "It's a round head.
It's a shadowy figure.
It's a round head on shoulders. That looks like me." Looks like moi.
Johnny's funny.
Johnny is a funny fellow.
Anyway. Yep. I don't know. Do you want to go ahead and wrap it up?
Yep, wrap it up. I gotta wrap up my whole evening early.
An early morning
DC
tomorrow.
At 6 o'clock tomorrow morning.
I have an early morning tomorrow.
Yep,
as well.
I had to get. Oh, I never talked about what happened at Target.
We'll save it. We can do another one tomorrow.
I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and say what happened at Target. Because I went to Target to get my dad today at work was like, all right, here's what we need to do for you to come with us we're going to this place that we do business with tomorrow. and we're supposedly going to try to impress them and be like, we're a family business kind of thing going on here.
You want to look
so
nice.
I had to go buy a nice button-down long sleeve collared shirt. I only have my only long sleeve collared shirts are like flannel shirts and stuff, plaid shirts and everything. It's
That's
like,
nice.
And I only have like jeans. Yes, basically during the winter at least I'm a bit grunge looking, I suppose. People sometimes will laugh at me wearing a flannel shirt and I'll be like, are you joking? This is like the best thing ever. Yeah.
Who cares?
This is totally...
Who cares what they think?
It's funny when people make fun of me. I think it's weird for when people will make a joke about me wearing flannel. I think it's weird because to me that's like the cool thing. So I'm like, I'm gonna get a cool flannel shirt and look cool. And then someone makes fun, and I'm like, really? I thought, no, this is cool. You're wrong. I'm looking pretty awesome right now. I love a good flannel shirt. But anyway, so I'm at Target to buy new khaki pants. Thank God I found some that weren't fucking pleated that fit me. They're still a bit weird. Like the ones that were my normal size were like way tight, and the ones one bigger were like way loose. So I just went with the loose ones. Because I'm like, I'm just gonna wear these pants on stupid occasions like this. So when I'm trying on these clothes, I walk past the woman sitting, the employee sitting outside the fitting rooms, and she's on the phone. She doesn't notice me go in. That'll be important for later on in the story. So I go in, and I'm in the fitting rooms trying stuff on, and there are these two little kids outside, and one of them goes, look at this thing. And I don't know what the fuck he had, but he goes, looks like a lightsaber. And I'm like, oh, sweet, these kids are Star Wars. And the other kid goes, Star Wars. And then they start going, pew, pew. And they start pretending to fucking fight with blasters. And then they go, here, you have one too.
You must have thought they were awesome.
And they go, lightsaber duel. And they start going, pew, pew,
You
pew.
did?
No, they're doing this while
did.
I'm trying stuff on. And I'm laughing. I'm like trying not to laugh out loud in the fitting rooms. And then the mom keeps yelling at them like,
stop it!
James, you can play around, but stop banging on the walls, because they kept hitting the fucking walls with their stuff. So I was like, are these two random kids that just ran into each other at the store, and one of them's getting yelled at, and the other one is like, oh, my mom's not around, I'm going to call I'm going to
be a badass.
And like, this other woman can't yell at me. 20 years ago, that other mom would have been like,
smacked
fucking stop it!
Yeah.
And she should, because these kids were going a little too crazy. I was laughing, but I was like, I'm glad I'm not the one that has to deal with these fucking crazy-ass kids. So they're fucking saying all this Star Wars shit, and I'm thinking it's awesome for the first probably 5 minutes. I'm not in fitting rooms for that long. So for the first couple minutes, I'm like, this is awesome. And then I start to get a little fucking annoyed because they're still fucking doing it, and they're starting to bang on my fucking wall and everything. And they start screeching over by my door, and then the mom's yelling at them. And at the end, I'm like, I'm going to go out there and cut these kids' heads off with my lightsaber. I got this so fun. And then it was funny. The kid walks, like, once they finally stop, I hear the kid walk up to his mom and go, why do these jeans look like this? They're all ruined. And the mom laughs and goes, no, that's how they're supposed to look. And the kid goes, what do you mean? They've got holes in them already. She goes, I know. Like, that's the style. That's how they're supposed to look. And he goes, what do you mean? And she goes,
Shut
you think
up.
it's well, it made me laugh a lot because she goes, you think it's silly, don't you? And he goes, yeah. And I'm like, me too. These stupid fucking jeans with holes in them already and faded on the butt and stuff.
Yeah.
No. But I have to admit that the jeans that I tried on had a little bit of fake fading on them. But they were fucking weird as shit. They flared out at the bottom.
Ew.
They were called straight leg jeans. I was like, I don't want jeans that flare out. I just want normal fucking American jeans from 1984. I want fucking straight leg jeans like people used to wear that aren't baggy as shit, but they're not tight as shit. I don't want skinny jeans. I don't want carpenter jeans. All the jeans you fucking find in these stores are just like complete bullshit unless you're like a 30 waist. Yeah. And you're like, I can wear these fucking skinny jeans.
And skinny jeans, yeah.
And I'm like, well, for anyone I noticed that the skinny jeans stop at 36, and I wear 38s. And I was like, so if I'm going to buy jeans here, I have to buy baggy-ass motherfucking jeans that look ridiculous, or these carpenter jeans, or any of this, or these flare-out bottom, at the bottom jeans. So, but when I finally leave the fitting rooms, I go up to the lady that's at the counter, and the other people had already left. You know, the two kids with the mom, they had already left, and I walk up, and I go, "Excuse me," and the woman kind of jumps,
scared.
I scared her, and she turns around, and her eyes are all wide, and I'm like, "Why is everyone looking at me weird today?" So, because like other things had happened where people looked at me strange, or at least I thought they had. So she like looks at me with her eyes all big, and I go, "Where can I return these clothes?" And she goes, "On the rack right there." I'm like, "Okay." And then she goes, I didn't even see you go in there. And what I said right then was, "Oh, I must have snuck past you when you were on the phone." What I should have fucking said, which I didn't think of for hours later, should have pretended like I was a time traveler or something. Been like, "What year is it?" And I wish I had the ability to fucking disappear.
She would have just thought you were crazy.
Yeah, but it would have been a great story.
Yeah.
She was like, "I didn't see you go in there." I wish that's what I had fucking done.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's basically it.
Indeed.
That's the whole Target story. Kids with pretending to play Star Wars.
At least it wasn't mundane.
I was happy that there are still elementary school age kids
who
that
like
are
Star
playing
Wars.
Star Wars. I'm like, good
it's
for you.
timeless.
Keep it up.
Star Wars is pretty. It's coming out in 3D.
Hopefully they're not. Oh, fuck that.
It is.
But hopefully these kids aren't just talking about the new Star Wars, because that would be a big disappointment.
Well, that's probably why he's gonna release it in 3D. To bring back the old one.
Some comedian, I forget who it was, either Jon Stewart or somebody like that, was talking about how their kids talked about, said one day that they love Star Wars and how happy that made them. And then they found out that their kids were talking about the Phantom Menace and everything. And they were like, "No, you do not love that. You will love this."
Yeah.
Like, that's what I'm going to be like. I'm never going to show them the new movies if I have kids. Be like, "Those other Star Wars
They don't
movies
exist.
don't exist. There's no such thing as Jar Jar Binks."
What if he makes 3 more? Like he said he was going to.
Really? When did he say that?
He said there was 9 in the whole thing.
Man, he made THX 1138, great fucking movie. Then he made the 3 original Star Wars movies, great fucking movies, and a few other movies that were awesome. And now it's just like,
let's make money.
Hey, look what we can do with fucking computers. I don't want to see your computer shit, George. I want to see what you used to do that was so brilliant because somehow you pulled it off without computers and all that shit. That's what you were good at.
Yeah.
Now it's just lazy shit, like making
he's
money.
An asshole.
Ah, fuck you.
Whatever.
It's weird to love someone's art.
We should end it with that. A fuck you to George Lucas.
All right, 1, 2, 3.
Fuck you, George Lucas.